Hey everyone, it's Amy, the Skin and Lash Lady, and today I'm going to show you a really simple lymphatic drainage, and I can really use it today. So people always ask, what is the benefit of lymphatic drainage, or what is lymph? So lymph is this clear liquid that flows throughout our body, and it brings to our cells and everything micronutrients, and then it takes away toxins. The thing is that our lymphatic system doesn't have a pumping station. It kind of just free flows around. And when we get older, sometimes it can get stagnant. And for those of us, it can be puffy eyes, puffier face, more jowls, and we need to help it. This also, lymphatic drainage, would help if you have like sinus issues like I do. So if you suffer from puffy eyes or jowls, this is something that you want to do. It's actually something that everybody should do. So if you ever came to me for a facial or for any facialist, we always start our cleansing routine from the chest up. And one of the reasons is because we're opening up the lymphatic system, and we're always working up this way. So when we open up this way, everything can flow out. A lot of times clients will say, I'm doing pressing on my eyes, or they see an influencer or a quickie video that I even have made of depuffing the eyes, and like, it's not getting better. And that's because the lymph nodes in the neck need to really first be opened up, because if we don't open that up, everything else here won't matter. So like I said, if you ever go for a facial, even when I cleanse in the shower, I'm washing my face, I'm always starting with my chest area here and working my way up. And many times you'll see me do this movement very lightly because I'm getting all the lymph nodes in one shot. But I'm going to go over really simple ways for you to do this lymphatic drainage. You don't need any slip on your hands because we're doing light pressing movements. So there's certain areas we're going to focus on. Here on our clavicle, right under our jawline, and right behind our ear. And that is basically all we have to do. I'm also going to show you a little trick to help with that double chin at the end. So the first thing is our clavicle. Now I have a really short neck. So some people will say, where's my lymph node? And mine is kind of like really high up. So find your clavicle or your collarbone. And it's usually right in here. So there's two ways that we could do it. One is with my pads of my fingers, and I have my nails are a little too long, so I gotta be careful. And I'm just gonna press up, and I press up with my elbows. And it's like 5 to 7 movements of pressing up, and I'm just pressing in that area. But for some people, you're not sure of where you're pressing, if I'm pressing correctly. So I prefer to do it this way. I'm gonna go in small circles, and I press up very lightly, but down I'm not pressing. Up a little pressure and down. Some people will tell you that there's an expression called the weight of a nickel, which means if you held a nickel in your hand, that's how much pressure that you would apply. So for me, it is super light. That's why we don't need to have any slip. We want to be really gentle in this area because we have a lot of vascular things going on here and tendons. Like, this is a really important area. We don't want to be aggressive on our neck area. So you can either do it together in circular motions. I tend to go like this, and I do it in a bigger circle, and I put a little pressure up and then down. So this way, if I'm not sure where my lymph node is, I'm getting it. Now, please be advised, if you have had cancer surgeries and you've had your lymph nodes removed, this is not something that you're going to be able to do. So I just go over, my skin is just freshly washed, and I could do this if I'm sitting in front of the TV. Now, some people will see an immediate result, and some people will see a result later in the day or the next morning. Also, it's a very good idea to be well hydrated whenever you do anything that's involving our skin. So if you're not seeing a result, you could be dehydrated. Most people don't realize of how dehydrated that they are. So now we've done this area. We're gonna move up, and we're gonna move right below the earlobe. And with the pads of my fingers, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna press. And I kind of am doing an exaggerated movement so you can see it's kind of like this really, really light press and release, press and release. Super easy. If you're not sure of where I'm pressing, then you can just start a little further back and just move a little further down. That's kind of how I do it, just to make sure that I'm getting all the areas that I want. And also 5 to 7 times. And I tend to just do them together, just like this. Like I said, this is something you could just do in front of the TV. Now, if you have really long nails, and that can happen, use your knuckles and just go really light. Same thing, because we don't want to be stabbing ourselves with our nails. But pads of the fingers work just fine. Then we're going to go right under the jawline. The next area, the same thing. Press and release. Press and release. Press and release. It's not anything major than a press and release. And we're not digging hard. It's really a light movement. I'm trying to think of like what in life would be the similar movement. And I said to my sister, it's kind of like when I had to change my niece and nephew's diapers, and I would just go really light because I just wanted to like pat them dry. That's the only thing I can think of. Press and release, press and release. And then I'm gonna go right here, press and release, the same thing, press and release, press and release, press and release. I say this to myself, I kind of have like a rhythm to it. That's it, we actually hit the clavicle, the SCM area, and the submandible. So we actually hit all the areas. Now we got this. So some of us have this little waddle, whatever you want to call it, but we can also help in this area as well. This is going to be a little bit more pressure, and I do it on dry skin, but this is the only area that you may want to put a little oil on the skin so you have a little bit more slide. So I put my thumbs together. I can also do it this way. I put my thumbs together and I go right under. This is actually my tongue. So this is the hyoid. So I feel where there's like a hole there, and I go right just a little bit behind it, and I just put a little bit more pressure, let's say double nickels, and I go forward, and I kind of flick it forward because I want to move any fluid that's there out. And also 5 to 7 times. Super easy. And that is going to open up the lymph in your nose. In fact, you don't even have to touch the rest of your face if you don't want to, meaning you don't have to do a deep puff of an eye. Now, this is also great to work the neck if you have rosacea or acne, because my rosacea and acne clients, we can't do a lot of rubbing in areas where they have active acne lesions or rosacea. And if you start working on the lymph, you can reduce the inflammation in your acne and rosacea. Now, I also, like I said, tend to do mine more in the shower, very lightly when I'm cleansing. But when I tell you, these are light movements. Like I said, put a nickel in your hand, and that is the weight of a nickel. Super light. If you think that you're too heavy, lighten up. Super light. So let's review. We're going to do a circuit. You can either do this way on the clavicle, and if you're not sure, I prefer doing the small little circular motion. I put pressure on up, no pressure on down. 5 to 7 times. Then I work under my ear, and I do 5 to 7 times. Light pressure, release, light pressure, release. And I move down to the submandible, press and release, press and release. Like I said, I tend to move a little bit further down just to make sure I'm getting everything if you're not sure where your lymph nodes are. And then the last movement is the double thumbs right under the chin. I put a little bit more pressure, and I kind of flick up. And you're going to see that if you're holding a lot of fluid or lymph in your face, it'll start to slenderize your face. It's also good to do this movement before you do your microcurrent, because if you're holding a lot of fluid in your face and you go to put your microcurrent, sometimes that fluid can block your microcurrent. As well, if you're doing any other skin treatment, such as radiofrequency or microneedling, always work on the lymphatic system first. So let me know if you have any questions. Like and subscribe for more on this. But once again, just a few things. If you are a cancer patient and your lymph nodes were removed, please check with your medical professional if you can do these massage movements. And don't forget to wash your face and do lymphatic drainage.